All right, hi everybody. Just continuing our little video series before we leave Air Ivanhoe. We're down at Forearm and Hardman Lake in a remote cabin, and Jackie did the first couple parts, kind of talking about the cabin and trying to help people that have maybe never done this before, or this is first time out. Give you an idea what you need to bring, and it's pretty well covered the necessities of just kind of living without all the bells and whistles. So for a little bit here, I thought I would help out, give you an idea of what we used fishing. We were primarily fishing, this is primarily a bass and pike lake. So two of my favorite fish. I'm not much for walleye, although some of the lakes here are full of them. Not much of a jigging guy. We are casters and we like kind of bass heads. We want to actually pursue the thing. So I'll go through some of this stuff a little bit just to show you we have a huge amount of tackle here. I wouldn't advise it really. It's a little over the top, but we own all this stuff. So you know what? For the extra 50 pounds worth of stuff, we'd rather have it with us than not. So like I said, George and the guys at the lodge would probably advise against this, but it gives you an idea. Anyways, we have a lot of equipment. Both of us heavily involved in angling outfitters in Woodstock. Probably the best tackle store in Ontario, guys. So they can get us anything we want. Away we go. So let's go through this a little bit. So primarily what you want to do when you come here is there's a few things that are kind of absolute gotta haves, right? Pike are voracious predator fish, the apex predator of these lakes, lots of teeth. If you don't have leaders, you're going to lose all of your tackle. So you have a couple of choices, and I got a bag full. You can see I brought a selection. In here I've got about 3 or 4 different lengths of leaders. About 6-inch wire leader up to, I've got some that are about 18 inches long. Pike have a pretty hard time biting through steel leaders. They can break them if they're big enough, but they won't cut through them, okay? Stainless steel leader is pretty good stuff to get. Accessible anywhere you go, Canadian Tire, anywhere will have them, all right? On top of that, if you're really fussy, maybe the best thing to run is something like this, guys. I made these. It's reasonably very cheap to produce, and you can tie the knots. This is about a 50-pound or 80-pound piece of fluorocarbon, okay? Very abrasive resistant and very, very strong, okay? Musky bait, pretty much. And on the end, a fairly large snap swivel. I could probably hang on that thing and not break it. It's pretty tough stuff, okay? Those are great. They really can't see it. Fluorocarbon is pretty much invisible. All right. Okay. I wouldn't go anywhere on a lake like this without some needle nose pliers. You don't want to stick your finger down the jaws of one of those guys. If he decides to shake, he's going to get you. And it's a long ways to a hospital, and you're not getting there. So, use pliers, okay? Fish grips. I'll just run over here for a second. If you don't have a pair, we got nets, but these kind of tame things down a little bit too. Bass, pike. Fish grips are a great idea. They'll grab the job for you. You can pull the fish out of the lake like a pike. Ideally with big pike, use a cradle, but we didn't have them here, so we're pretty careful about how we lifted them out. Keep them lengthwise. Don't hang them upside down. Basically, their inners all sink to the bottom. It's really hard on them, okay? All right, so that gives you an idea. A good pair of small snip scissors that are sharp. Braid is hard to cut. Even a nice pair of Cuda little snips like these, they're great. They cut mono, they cut fluoro, but they don't cut braid very well. So sharp pair of scissors is a good idea. All right, this is I got stuff all over here because we're packing up. Jackie already mentioned it, guys, but a good pair of polarized glasses let you see the fish in the water. These are prescription for me, but the added bonus is if that bait does flip back and get you, you don't want it in your eye, so it's a good idea. I got a little retainer on here too, guys. Many pairs of sunglasses have ended up at the back of the lake, right? Okay? All right, so let's get down to it. What do we got here? What did we use for rods, first of all? If Jackie can hang on here. I got them behind me. So this is primarily both Jackie and I have used pretty much the same rods. It's probably a good idea to bring yourself one rod, one spare, okay? Just in case. Not often the fish break them, but they get snapped in car doors and all kinds of things. This is a Quantum Pro Tour, okay? A medium heavy rod, okay? This is for bait caster. It's got some backbone, so I can hook into a pretty big pike and I'm not going to bust my rod. Okay, it handles it no problem, right? We shift around here. Okay, your Quantum EXO, unfortunately stopped making these, but they were the the fishing rod of the pros. Okay, it's a really nice rod. This is a medium light.
My
okay,
favorite.
It's great for bass. Got a nice sensitive tip. Fantastic fishing rod. Okay, and what else we got in here? Pretty much the same boat. EXO bait caster. Okay, same idea. About a 7-footer. Jackie's a little short than me. I usually run everything 7+. Jackie's looking for rods that are a little bit shorter. But to give you an idea, so medium heavy, a medium light, and you probably pretty much have what you need, okay? Whether you use bait casters or spin casters, it doesn't really matter, all right? They'll all catch fish. Okay, reel-wise, I'll just grab a couple what we used. Stay there. Oh, no, I got them over here, sorry. All right, so here's your options, right? A 20 or a 30. These are probably plenty big enough. These are 30s. This is in one of the ORS series, a Rebel reel from Abu. Okay, best fishing reels in the world. Okay, all right. So fantastic. I got about 15-pound braid on here for the bass. For light pike, that'll get the job done. Braid doesn't break really easy, but toothy things break it off fairly easy. So you tie a leader on the end of this, and you're good. And on the other side, if you like these things, and some people hate them and some people love them, I love them, okay? Bait caster's fantastic control, casting into tight little spots, and they can pull pretty big fish as well. So this is the Quantum PT Energy. It's a nice reel. I've got about 45 or 50-pound braid on here, okay? So if I do get into the wood and stuff, usually I can pull it back out of there before I break the stuff off. All right? Okay. Tackle wise, I mean, there's a mass of tackle here, but what really worked down here? So let's have a look. Okay, we go poking through here. First of all, guys, some people believe, some people don't. These little devils have been around for a long time, and I got piles of them. But spinner baits catch bass, they catch pike. This little monster caught a 3.6-pound bass in here, which is a pretty decent bass for a small inland lake up north where it's cold all the time. Takes them a long time to get big, right? But worked fantastic. Nice light colors. A lot of the water in here is pretty stained, that tea kind of browny tea color, and that's because of all this forest around here running off into the water. But they show up good, right? So you have nice bright colors. They see it. It's funny, I just finished a delicious shore lunch, one of those bass sacrifices his life for my lunch, but okay, we cut them open. It's always a good idea. That first couple bass, if you catch them, have a look and see what they're eating, right? We did slip the stomach open, pumped out, guess what? A whole whack of crayfish. Okay, so that's maybe their primary food here. I didn't mark piles of minnows here. So they're probably eating crayfish. It's a good color for crayfish, right? Okay, so spinner baits are good. If you happen to have, I didn't get a chance to use this much, but doesn't look too much more appealing than that thing, right? Bounce that along the bottom. I'm sure if we had the time, we would have got hooked up with that, all right? All right, carrying on. What else do we use? I don't have them all sitting here, but swim baits, a good size silver swim bait with a great size jig head on. Fantastic, right? And we did have bites with those. Pike are pretty, let me just have a look here where I get the right box here. We got a lot of junk sitting here, but let me pull this out of here just so you can have a quick look. Chatterbaits, they'll work really well, okay? So chatterbait, if you don't know, is a weird looking little guy like this. It's got a little weighted head and a little flapper. They vibrate like crazy. They look a little bit like a spinner bait, but the action and the noise that come off of these will attract fish from a long ways away. Really good bait. I wouldn't have guessed it maybe, but my boss there down at Angling Outfitters suggested these guys. And I got to admit, I hate to admit, but he was bang on, okay? It's a big spoon, a Williams wobbler. If I can get all these treble hooks unglued, all right? That thing.
In red.
And yeah, it's red. This is a Williams, what do we got? W70, okay? So a silver plated, real high quality spoon. That hit the water in about 2 seconds. I got a 28-inch pike on it. Kabang. Okay. So beautiful, right? You can get different sizes, different colors. There's silver. We got gold. All those big flash in that water. They can see that thing from hundreds of feet away, right? So a great bait. It really works super well. And I use this a lot, guys. So I got a couple of them here. I brought them down here just because I had hoped to catch the monster. I didn't get completely successful, but can't beat these guys, right? Big spinning bucktails, right? This thing just stuck out like a sore thumb. And today we got 2 or 3 pike with that. Okay, it's a big bait. If you want to catch big fish, guys, you kind of got to use big baits. If you use little baits, you're going to catch little fish. So don't be afraid to pick these things up. They're like $10. Angling Outfitters, you guys, if you can't get there, go online. I mean, we don't have an online store, but if you call the store, we'll ship stuff to you, okay? All right. What other kinds of things we use? Trying to wring my head here what all we were at. We used a few tube jigs. I mean, tube jigs always catch bass. We use a lot of Gary Yamasenko plastic baits. I'm not a big worm guy. Don't like worms. It doesn't mean they don't catch fish. They certainly catch fish. They're just kind of messy and they're hard to keep alive when you're traveling for 13 hours to get here. So what's a Gary Yamasenko? There we go, guys. There's what we're talking about. Come in lots of different colors, and probably one of the better ones. These are white, but everybody's seen them. We like Gary Yamasenkos just because of the texture of them. This is about a 6-inch worm, okay? You can, wacky them, you can Texas rig them, whatever works for you. Great bass baits. Probably the #1 hitter were these guys, okay? A small Gary Yamasenko black worm with a yellow tail. They seem to go crazy for these things, so they don't last a long time. They're pretty soft or pretty chewy, but they will catch you fish, okay? All right, that gives you an idea, okay? There's lots of baits. Stick baits always work good, right? Anything that can dive down a little bit, Rapala BX or the Husky Jerks, anything like that will catch fish. All right, there's just a million baits. We could talk about this all day. But I want to talk about a couple of little things that I would say if you're coming to Forearm, Hardeman, any lake like this where it's remote, I mean, you have to be careful, okay? We went back into Hardeman. It's not a huge lake, but there's a lot of islands, a lot of bays. The dock is sort of hard to see. Once you pull out of there, it's really easy to get turned around, okay? And I mean, it's not like you're not going to find your way back, but it gives you a bad feeling when you're a couple miles out and you're like, I have no idea what direction you're going in. So if you're doing this on a budget, get one of these things. It doesn't have to be fancy. This is an engineer's compass, guys. Put it on your thumb. I can target a location here. Look down through that thing, find out where I am, and get a heading. At least I know where I left from. We left from east to the dock. Really, we couldn't get lost. It would have brought us back, okay? But if you, and it's a good idea, if you have it, I wouldn't run out and buy it because they're not cheap, but I'm going to show you my fish finder. It's a really good thing to bring, and this is a cheap way to build it, guys. Problem is you get your fish finder, you get transducer, you get wires all over the place, batteries and all this. This is a slick way to do it. So bear with me for a sec. I brought a little flashlight just so you can see this a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so what we have here, guys, and the guys at Angling were great to help me out. Okay, this thing is called a tight lock. Okay, a really slick little telescopic rig. There's my transducer, my wire, clamped right on the back of the boat, folds up out of the way so when you come into the shallows, you don't catch on bottom. Works really super well. Hope you guys can kind of get a good idea what that looks like. But clamps right on the back of the boat. Very quick, no fuss, no muss. You're not using hockey sticks and things like that. They're going to fall off. Okay, and down here, what we have is the actual unit itself. Now, a little homemade deal, but what we have here, guys, is a small Hook 4 unit from Lowrance. We have a data in there from Navionics. Okay, so there's my unit. I can fire this up for a second when it starts, but let me show you how this works. Okay, so our transducer's on the back of the boat, hooks into the back of our rig here, our hook 4. Okay, we'll let that thing warm up for a sec, but I'll show you. So instead of trying to lug all those bits and pieces around, what I have here is a gun case from a company called Flamborough. Okay, very cheap, it was 20 bucks. All right, full blind inside. And if I open this up, that's a pretty slick way to do it, guys. The battery is in there. It's wired through the case. I've got my small trickle charger in here, Genius from Canadian Tire. Keeps the battery charged up. Okay, my cables, everything I need is in one nice, neat little box. I've got a little unit in here for moisture resistance. Came with the box. Okay, I just did a little trimming, a little drilling, and away we go. Close it up, and there we go, guys. All waterproof, all nice and clean. There's our unit. And if we hit enter, okay, and we go to our screens, you may not do this because, here we go. Let me just show you. This is the biggest part that I would press on you guys, okay, about not getting lost. It's pretty hard to get lost. If I push enter, all right, and you guys can see on here, if I move this around a little bit, here's today's track, right? So I know, although I didn't have the maps in, okay, position acquired, whatever, but you can see I had some of the fishing spots that we picked up fish, waymarked them. But the most important mark on this map, guys, I'm not so quick at running this, but somewhere on here, if I back this up, you'll see the whole thing. Okay, that's Hardeman Lake in green. And you can see up in here, this is Forearm, where we got to the dock. There's a little small space in there. So regardless of whether I have the land map, guys, I have the track I took, and my number one waypoint was the dock, right? So even if you get out in that lake and get completely lost, you can follow that waymark route right back to where you came from. Kind of dark in here because we're running out of light fast. Our video's got to wrap up. But that's a pretty important thing. You really don't want to get out in these lakes in a storm or something. You head back and you go, oh my God, I really don't know where I came from anymore. Compass, or if you have it, certainly, and like I said, not everybody has these and it's not absolutely imperative, but make sure you covered your butt so you don't get lost, right? I'd rather get lost in the woods than out in the middle of that lake, okay? All right, hopefully I kind of covered a few things. Just be safe, right? You go out in the lake. I got a PDF on the floor over here, guys. PDFs aren't any good sitting in the bottom of your boat, so I would suggest strongly bring your own if you want. They're here. We use just manuals with an air cylinder in them, nice and they're comfortable and they're light. But if I fall in the water, I want to not drown. So, right? Okay, I got a knife in that thing in case I got tangled up in something. I can cut it loose. All right, just simple little things, but think about it, right? Gas tank's full. Not a bad thing. If you got one of these things, a multi-tool with lots and lots of different attachments, and this one's really nice. I've got a bunch of little screw bits, some sockets and things in there. And guess what today? The motor really wasn't super happy. I did have to pop it open and adjust the idle speed a little bit so it ran a little better. Okay, it didn't want to start. So something like that, if you don't have it, you're kind of up the creek, hoping the motor doesn't let you down 2.5 miles from the dock in the middle of nowhere. All right? So I don't want to keep talking all night, but guys, we got to pack up and get ready to go home. I hope that anybody that don't be afraid to do one of these remotes. I mean, it's a good time, right? If you need some help, you need some equipment, call Angling Outfitters, guys. I know they'll be happy to hear from you, and they'll fix you up. Anything you need, we probably have it, or we can get it. All right, night. Bye-bye from Air Ivanhoe.